final speaker of the day is an organization called the Spectacled Bear Conservation, which is based in Peru. And they work on Andean bears or spectacled bears. And specifically, they work in a dry forest habitat in northern Peru. But they've been expanding their work recently. And so today you'll hear from one of the co-founders of Spectacled Bear Conservation, Robin Appleton, as well as the conservation director, Alex Morey. So please give a huge round of applause for the last presentation of the day for Spectacled Bear Conservation.
Hi, everyone. You guys are amazing. Thanks so much for making it to the very end. This far exceeds my expectation. I kind of thought we'd see a few people in the front row, mostly WCN staff. So you guys are my heroes. So Tommy suggested we keep the energy high. I'm known to talk really fast, so I'm not going to try to keep the energy too high, but I'm going to try to move this along a little bit. So bear with me. I'll try not to talk too fast. So I did see today many of you are new to WCN Expo. So just to give you a little insight, this is a spectacled bear. And one of the things that I most love about spectacled bears is, aside from we talked about all the animals who are cute, but spectacled bears are fighters. They're fighting every single day to survive. And this is one of these really cute cubs, but they are known for their rings around their eyes, so that's where they get the name. People often say speckled bears, but it's actually spectacled, because it looks like they're wearing glasses. But many people know Paddington. So Paddington is actually a spectacled bear who was shipped off to England in the hopes that he would survive. So their populations are quite small and just distributed throughout South America, from Venezuela all the way down to Bolivia. But they're very small populations, and that's because they're killed for a lot of different reasons, partly for retaliatory killing, which you've heard is a common theme across conservation, across all different continents. This is another big one that we're facing a lot of challenges in recent years, and that's mining. We're not obviously opposed to mining, but there are practices that need to take place to make sure that mining is done correctly. And they come in and they just take off the entire mountaintop, leaving all of the villages and communities below to suffer. So this has gotten international news into BBC across the world, and just of the threats because of gold mining and copper mining and the damages that they're doing to bear habitat. And then as you go further down the watershed, we also work on the coast, which is about 200 feet. It's a dry forest, and it looks like this, but it is being cleared at an astronomical rate for agriculture. There's basically no land left in Peru. Populations are high, and this puts an enormous amount of stress on the spectacled bears. So this is a female who's just given birth to a cub. But when they don't have access to food, enough food, the stress on their bodies, and that's why I said they're fighters. They fight to keep those cubs alive. And you can see here just the stress, the loss of hair, just the body. It's not a healthy bear. So how do they keep these cubs alive if they're not healthy? That's the question. So the energetic cost and the cost of reproduction in this ecosystem is so big for these bears. And this mom was able to keep her cub alive almost to a year. But this is what happens to her. So slowly but surely, she's just giving her body away to her cub to keep her alive. And as you can see here, if she had no hair, it's just skin and bones. And it's just heart-wrenching for us as well to watch. And these adorable, cute cubs, I mean, they're fighting to survive as well. It's 30% survival rate for all cubs. And ultimately, this is what happens to the females. So the mortality rate is super high. But on that note, because we don't want to end today on a really depressing note, there is still a lot we can do. And I feel really optimistic. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here today. We can really, we can do so much to keep these populations, and we have to fight every single day, just like these bears are doing. And so you showing up and making it to the end of these shows, this is so important for us. So I now want to just introduce Alex Morey, who's our director, to talk a little bit more about what we're doing to combat those challenges.
Thank you. Thank you, Robin, and well, thanks everyone for being here. Okay, as the other conservation groups, we learned that we can't do anything without the communities. So a strong relationship with communities are very important to understand their needs, their challenges, and how we can approach to them and how we can help to them. And now we understand that working with women are so important because women play a key role in the communities. Women also are very important if we want to do conservation actions in the field. As Robin says, we have mining operations around all the Andes in Peru and South America, and women have fight against this mining operation. They have run mining companies from the land trying to protect their way of living. So we started this program, this Ferti program, to work with the women to make them, to empower women with a simple product like this one. Probably some of you have brought some of our Fertis. Thank you so much for that. And it's a perfect product for rural women. So it's so simple. It's just a needle and wool. So while women do this Ferti, they can still doing their traditional activities, like carrying their babies, like in this photo. But also, Ferti for us is a way to collaborate with other groups. So we are working with some groups of the network, so you can purchase some Fertis from their booth right now. And yeah, we believe that the power of this Ferti program is very powerful to empower women, but also to gain more support for conservation. Robin?
The problem is, if only our solution was so simple, we actually work in a very complex area, partly for all the different ecosystems, the different cultures, the different languages, Quechua, Spanish, but not all land is owned by indigenous people. And so what we found is, unfortunately, a lot of the prime bear habitat is actually on private titled land, which creates a great opportunity for us, but also a huge financial challenge because land is expensive. But that's a new project for us, and thanks to many friends who are here today, in the last few years, we've been able to purchase land and are now protecting over 1,000 acres of prime bear habitat for bears. So this is all the land you can see in the back. Thanks. Which is great because now we can take all of that knowledge that we've gained over the last 15 years and actually apply it to conservation action. And for all of my colleagues and friends here in conservation, being able to actually do something tangible is an incredible feeling. So now we can reforest, we can prevent poaching. We're creating these wonderful 5-star spas here, as you can see. Although I have to say, when you work in a dry forest, this is so tempting. You just want to jump in there, but yes, they're for bears and all the other species. But these are the water holes that we're locating on all of the land that we've been purchasing, and we're seeing a ton of species using them, so not just bears, but birds, foxes, and everything else that needs water. We're able to do that by creating very deep wells and pumping water up and then sending it through piping throughout all of the ecosystem. So once it's done, and these wells have been great. But talking about water, I say, a lot of people come from places with a lot of rain. Well, we don't have rain, we don't have water. And as you saw in that video there, it's just a little tiny dot. So there's 5 water holes in 300 square kilometers, so not a lot of water. And this is what the water holes look like. So we're not talking huge spas like the ones we're creating. They're often this size. Can you hear the cub in the background? So it's not just for drinking water. It's also for communicating with other bear species or these young juveniles practicing for their future to win over the ladies. It's like, this is mine. You're not coming in, although I think the other one won in the end. But while water is really important, so is food. And unfortunately, they don't get enough food. This is a piece of land that was just cleared about half a year ago, right adjacent to the last parcel that we purchased. This person does not want to sell. They're from Lima, but luckily they're well broke, so we're kind of hoping that maybe that's something we can do in the future. But this bear, this is Martin, and some of our friends were just down in November and had the chance to meet him. He's walking across this open landscape right into the village, basically, looking for food, which was once his habitat, and water. So this was filmed by the people trying to fix the well. But we were so shocked. This is like the most elusive bear species, and he's walking in full view. And this guy's scared. That's why he's hiding behind the bamboo. I'm not sure what that was going to do, but... So there are a number of different strategies that we can use to mitigate these challenges, and the land purchase is a huge one for us. And right now we're starting a new campaign to purchase, you can see in the dotted line, this big parcel of land that will help us protect 3,000 acres of land, and it's bounced back in the middle of a core area. This is just a drone footage that I took about a month ago of the land. So this is pristine habitat adjacent to a national park. So the whole land goes right down to the village. So if that land was not owned by this private person that's had it he's raising bulls for bullfighting for the last 40 years, this would all be agriculture. So, well, I said it's not necessarily a disadvantage, it's a challenge because land is expensive. And so, but also having the opportunity to be able to purchase parcels of land like this that is providing habitat forever for bears is incredible. It's full of fruit, sapote. Many of you have heard about the sapote fruit. This is an critical food that helps the bears ovulate and go into estrus, which is a key to reproduction. So it's high in fat. So passing it over to Alex, on a different note, it's not just about the dry forest bears, and it's not just about the bears in the north. There's only around 5,000 bears left, spectacled bears left in the world. And so we need to focus outside of that, and we're trying to scale up as quickly as we possibly can because the time is running out. So this is some exciting news to share. We were asked by the government to help them in one of the most iconic places in the world. Peru, I'd say the world, but Peru.
Yeah, it's very exciting. We're moving to the south of Peru with all the experience that we have more than 15 years trying to understand how the bears behave. Yeah, now we have the opportunity to work in Machu Picchu. You know, this well-known and most famous Inca citadel that, as you see, is in the middle of the mountain forest. It's a different ecosystem. But probably few people know that in Machu Picchu, we have a large, different range of ecosystems. So from the glaciers, we have this tundra alpine grassland, peatlands, also the mountain forest, and a patch of dry forest also where some bears are found usually. You know, Machu Picchu was discovered for science and for the world in 1911. But in fact, before that discovery, some Peruvians knew that about Machu Picchu. When Hiram Bingham arrived to Machu Picchu, actually there were two families living nearby. And Machu Picchu was created as a protected area in 1981 to protect more than 80,000 acres, and not only to protect the archaeological treasure that is in the area, but also to protect key and beautiful species like the bears, like the Andean cock of the rock, which is the national bird in Peru, the taruca, which is a deer, big deer. And the diversity of this area is amazing. You know, it's a paradise for any bird watcher who goes to Peru. Like this mountain toucan is one of the 400 birds that lives in the area of Machu Picchu. Actually, that is 1/4 of all the avian fauna that is in Peru. So many bird watchers go to the area. There are also more than 400 different butterfly species, more than 20,000 plants, which is 15% of the plants in Peru, and more than 500 orchids, with new species discovered in the recent years. But
keep you all in suspense, everyone's still awake. There's a lot of challenges with working in a place like Machu Picchu, and as you can imagine, people. I mean, people are the problem, aren't they, all over the world? But in Machu Picchu in particular, they have 10,000 tourists pass through there a day. That's huge. And so this is a video that was sent to us just recently of a bear trying to get out. And so they can get stuck and think they're going to get out one way, and they end up being in the middle of the whole ruin. So you can imagine what that's like for this bear. This was filmed by a park guard, just trying to keep people clear. You can see it's licking its lips and doing the chop chop. It's really stressed out. So it does, you can see, get out in the end, but this was filmed by a park guard. And Machu Picchu, the ruins, is a big place. So this bear had been in there for quite some time, but it's not like you can just push them out, funnel them out. And so this is becoming a very frequent event. And not only that, I'm sure many of you have heard about the Inca Trail. So the Inca Trail cuts right through the entire park, and it allows 500 people a day plus porters. And for every person that goes in, there's a porter. And you can imagine the impact that that has, of course, just crossing right through. But one of the biggest challenges that we have now is that they're trying to expand Machu Picchu. The whole area is just full of Inca ruins and incredible sites. And so that's a lot of money for Peru. And Peru needs that money. So there are ways, and we have to find ways that we can work together with the government, the Ministry of Culture, to do that. But just opening up random more trails. They want to open up more Inca trails throughout the reserve. We can't just randomly do that because often, especially females, have sites where they need to go to feed or they're denning up, and especially when you have a gradient like that. So we need to understand more about what's going on. This is what the Inca Trail looks like for some of you that have done it. It's basically like it's a lineup to a concert. It's just one big row of people. And then the porters, for everyone, I said there was a porter that's also carrying 50 to 100 kilos of weight. So there's a lot of other social issues that are going on that also need to be improved. So we've joined forces with the government. It's a well-supported park. It's got 38 park guards. So this is the first time we've actually really collaborated with the government. They always say, welcome, come on, let's go. That's great, thanks for doing something. But we've actually never really worked where we have someone picking us up, dropping us off. They're giving us staff to help with some of our upcoming work. And we're working with them to actually create a UNESCO BIOS reserve. So we'll be collecting enough information and data for Machu Picchu and the surrounding areas that hopefully we can contribute to that and create this large, massive area that will be protecting 1.7 million acres of prime bear habitat. So we're trying to think big. We need to think big now in conservation. We want to have a huge impact, and that's what we hope to be doing in the next few years. But it's so easy on paper, and you look at these maps, and you look at the site, and then you look at this road, and you're thinking, how are we walking through that? And now after walking around Machu Picchu for a month, it's crazy. I mean, you're just pushing. You're like swimming through the bushes trying to get through. But as I mentioned, there are Inca trails that are throughout the site, so they do help us from time to time, like this one that looks like we're just being, I don't know, walked up to heaven or hiking along out into the middle of nowhere. So, but next month we're embarking on this very large study for us. It's super intense. We're putting out 200 camera traps, and we'll be picking them up at San Diego next week. So I'm not sure how we're getting them all down there, boxes and boxes, but we'll be putting a camera station every kilometer. So this is a huge park with a huge range, and you can see those are 3 points, and we've got 200 cameras to get out. So we're lucky to have 10 park guards, and our staff, everybody's putting their efforts forward, and we're also getting support from other NGOs. So we're hoping this will be a big collaborative project. And we also hope to get a couple of callers on that will help just help us to better understand how the bears are using this habitat, because we just can't get enough cameras out in that kind of ecosystem. And also, sometimes it's like a needle in a haystack. You put a camera there and the bear walks that way. So we're trying to better understand how they move through that. But one of the benefits of now putting on collars again and doing that kind of study is that we've hired a full-time veterinarian. And with that, we were able to do a lot of other things. So we can now support issues like this. This is Chris, the bear, who got into a fight with another male, and his whole back was just full of maggots. So they start as holes, but the whole back was just, it was terrible. We had the vet from San Diego Zoo help us with this. And Chris has led a beautiful life, and he's passed away now, but after this video, he lived another 12 years. So he had a great life. So having a vet on standby that can just jump out there, knows how to do it, knows how to get there, is going to be incredible. So I'm really excited about that. And also, hearing the other projects at WCN, like Shivani's program with dogs, I mean, it makes sense. So by having a vet on staff, we're able to address some of these other issues, domestic animals and the diseases that are passed from dogs to bears. As you can see, they're also using a lot of these water holes. I don't want to leave this on too long, but it helps us to work with the other communities. And so when they're having issues with their livestock, which we see a lot, or any kind of retaliatory killings or anything like that, we all have a vet that can provide that support to the villages and the community. So it's just one more thing that we can do for people. So going back to Paddington, that was really great that Paddington's auntie sent him to England so he could survive. But we're really hoping that Paddington and spectacled bears will stay in the wild forever, and we don't have to ship them on boats and buses to zoos. So this is a few of the cubs from this year. So this cub's 6 months old, and we're really hoping that he has a much better chance this year of surviving, and that these cubs, these two playful juveniles, have a chance to breed and successfully breed and become daddies. It's funny how they always do that in front of the cameras, but yeah, there really is so much to do, and we're so grateful for everybody's supports. It's not just economic. There's also, we're always looking for volunteers and people and trying to help expand our markets for our felties. So if anyone ever has any ideas, please let us know. We're always available to talk, and we appreciate everything that everybody said. So, and if you know any other conservation organizations that want felty, snow leopards, let us know. So thanks again for staying to the end of the day. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much, Robin and Alex. We have about 3-4 minutes for final questions of the day before we wrap up. So Rachel will pass the microphone. We have one right here first to start.
You say you're getting assistance from the government. Peru's been having a little difficulty keeping a government going for the last few years. Is there some department that is continuous that is helping you? Their presidents have changed, their parties have changed, they have election problems. What part of the government is it that's helping you?
Okay, well, we don't get into Peruvian politics because it's a disaster. Since I started in Peru 15 years ago, every single president has gone to jail. So politics are really tough in Peru. But the people on the ground, so the park system is actually quite solid. So the head of the park system and all of the park guards are the ones that are supporting us. We don't get financial support ever in Peru, but we're getting support as in they're giving us their park guards who are incredibly knowledgeable. They've covered every part of that park. They're picking us up, they're dropping us off, they're coordinating logistics, which is just having that extra support has been really good. But yeah, political. Ugh.
Also right here down in front.
Hi, I'm wondering about the lack of food resources and how your feeding program works.
Yeah, so there's a number of different aspects to that. So the land purchase that we're doing, we're actually buying key habitat that already has sapote and overo fruit. But one of the things we found with our data is that the population is still declining. So for us, it's not just about securing the land, because that population could continue to land. So it's actually to crash. So what we're trying to do is enhance the land. Water is huge. It's not just about drinking. They thermoregulate their temperature, so it allows them to move further and farther and eat more in the day. So just being able to go in a water hole and cool down, so I didn't put up videos, but they cool themselves down, then they can feed for another couple of hours. So it's all about the weight gain. And then the other thing we're doing is winter food is really sparse. And so we're putting in water systems for the Overo fruit. And what that does, it's aseasonal, meaning it fruits all year as long as it has water. So we're doing 20 hectares of land on the parcel that we bought last year. And then that will provide food for, it's mostly females. So the females will be using that throughout the year. So as soon as the sapote runs out, they'll always know that that's food source. So it's kind of like a supplementary feeding, but a natural, because we can't just put food out for carnivores. That's a challenging one, so, yeah.
Probably also is, the parcel that we want to purchase, for example, is in a key area for connectivity of the landscape.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Robin and Alex.
Yeah,
Huge round of
thank you.
applause for Spectacle Bear conservation.